been in hiding from myself and from like everyone, it seems. I moved back to Dallas. I never thought that I would move back to Dallas. This was like the last place that I thought that I would move. I just kept feeling like there was something missing, that I just felt not super grounded. I felt like my business and my like things that were happening in my personal life were all back here in the States, and that being out of the country, like although it was fun for quite some time, like just living kind of like a digital nomad, I just was feeling really called to be grounded and build some roots somewhere. Mind you guys, I haven't had a stable home in 2 years at this point. So I was really having this desire that I wanted to like have a home base. I wanted to have somewhere where I felt safe and comfortable and where I owned belongings. So when I was in San Pancho earlier this year, I realized that I wanted to move back to the States. And so I began this journey of trying to find a new home base, trying to find a location that made sense for me to live. Those of you guys that have been following my journey know that I don't drive a car. Like I can't drive because of my vision at this point. And so that kind of limits a lot of options. So I thought about where I could live. You know, I had all these stories in my mind about just what my life was going to look like now that I don't drive. You know, as I was battling, trying to figure out where I was going to live, it did not energetically make sense for me to go from living in a remote jungle life for however, like 6 months, a year, however long I've been kind of just like living off the grid, to going and living in a chaotic city. I spent a couple of months trying to figure out where I was going to move. I traveled like a lot of different places to try to figure out, and also doing like hours and hours of research about just places that I could live that were going to be an option for me. So I ended up back in Dallas. I, like I said, never thought that I would move back here. I was very specific to make sure that I didn't ever say I'm never moving back to Dallas, because I do know that there's been a lot of things that have happened in my life that I never really thought would happen. But all in all, I didn't think that I was going to move back here. I didn't even think that, not only did I have no desire to move back here, I didn't feel connected to the city. The city brought a lot of, I felt like I had a lot of trauma here that I just didn't want to be around. And also just like the driving thing, like anybody that's familiar with Texas knows that you can't live in Texas without a car. It's just like not really an option. So needless to say, after realizing that I needed somewhere to be grounded, I needed like a home base, I did all of this mindless like researching and traveling to try to figure out like where I was going to move. And somehow I made my way back to a neighborhood in Dallas and was like, just something in me was like, you know what? This is exactly where you need to be for so many different reasons. And this was a extremely mind-boggling decision. I don't want to say it was a hard decision, because I'm at this point in my life, like I feel like I trust my inner knowing and my intuition pretty heavily. And just the same way that about 2 years ago, I had this intuition that I needed to pack up all of my belongings and just start traveling, it was the same intuition that was telling me, hey, it's time for you to come back to Dallas. So I've been in Dallas for about 2.5 months. And when I say like I've been in hiding, it's literally and figuratively, I would say, because coming back to a place where you feel like you have a lot of coming back to a place where you feel as if that place kind of like projected you into burnout or projected you into somebody that you didn't really like coming back to a place where I feel like this city and this environment and the energy, the culture of this city kind of broke my spirit. It was very uncomfortable coming back here. And I had a lot of moments where I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I literally could live anywhere in the world. Like what I'm doing for work, I could do from anywhere. And yeah, so I pretty much for the past couple of months, like, it's funny because I feel like I had been in hiding because I didn't really want like to just let people know that I was back in my hometown because I didn't want to be bombarded with like people wanting to connect with me. I just was a bit overwhelmed, and so I've been in hiding, so to say, because I was, trying to give myself space to process like this new transition and trying to give myself space to like being in a city again. And, but also at the same time, I realized that a big part of me being in hiding, so to say, is that me being gone and out of like a major city, me being kind of like remote in the jungle or living in an RV or all of that, like all of those steps were like super necessary for my personal development and my growth and all of that. But I realized that in some form or fashion, I was kind of still in hiding from myself, like in those environments. When, just from my observation, like a lot of times we meet people when we're traveling, like being a digital nomad, and a lot of people just kind of pack up their stuff and never go back home, which all of us have different stories and all of us have different reasons for things. But I just personally found for me that I felt like while I was living in Mexico, when I was in San Pancho, that it was beautiful, it was amazing, all of that, but I was feeling like I've done all this work on myself and I want to go like test out like this new person that I am. I don't want to just like never go back home, or I don't want to run away from like my traumas or my triggers or my problems. Like I want to, integrate back into the society and just be like a bigger, better version of myself. So when I say that I was in hiding, like I kind of like all of the steps have been super necessary in my journey, but to some degree I kind of realized I'm like, you're kind of in hiding from yourself at this point, like not going back home, not going back to your career, not going back to like all of the things that made you, you've just kind of abandoned, and you're kind of somewhat in hiding. So when I realized that, and I realized, hey, like this would be the ultimate test to come back to Dallas. Those of you guys that don't know, I restarted my real estate business. I have started 2 additional like coaching businesses online. And so like I just kind of realized like this is the opportunity to kind of integrate back into these communities and these environments and just be a better version of yourself. So once I realized that that was kind of a form of hiding, and I came back to Dallas and I was trying to slowly like integrate into being here, then I kind of realized that how much I had just been kind of not really showing up and being present creatively. I was going through a lot emotionally. A lot of questions were coming up when I first got back here to the city, not sure if I'd made the right decision. And that was another form of hiding. Like I was, not really processing, or I was trying to process what I was going through, but I also was kind of like blocking out those pieces of myself that was questioning if I made the wrong choice, or also just being resentful about like the space that I was in as far as like being in the city again and all of that. So needless to say, this chapter of my life very much has been about how can I show up as this newer version of me and come out of hiding, come out of like living in this like make-believe place that like things are always just magical and beautiful, because they can be and they are, but there's still dark pieces of me that I'm still working on. I'm still trying to overcome, feeling like a victim, or feeling like resentful or bitter, or like struggling with like different things with my family. Like there's still things that, I need to work out. And it's hard to me. I personally feel like it was harder for me to work those things out internally when I'm living in like a magical, beautiful place, because who can wake up angry when you're at the beach and when you are, hearing the roosters like in the morning? Like I needed to kind of be back in a place that was a bit triggering for me to uncover and unpack some more darker pieces of myself that I would like to work on. So, needless to say, I'm coming out of hiding. I'm back, and I needed a moment to kind of integrate myself into where I'm at now. But yeah, so here's to coming out of hiding. Here's to unpacking all of like the dark, light, shades of gray pieces of myself that maybe I haven't been able to tap into a lot recently because I had been living in paradise. So yeah, can't wait to bring you guys along this journey with me as I dive deeper into shadow work, inner child work, all of that. Like I tapped into like the mindset, the meditation, the yoga, the health, the detox. Like I tapped into all of that, but now it's time to dive into like these shadow pieces of me, these inner child pieces of me that really need attention. So it's been a wild ride. It's only been 2 months. So I'm going to be bringing you guys along the journey because I think this will be helpful for other people too. So talk to you guys soon.